injury attorneys at The Advocates can't actually prevent you from being in a cycling accident, they will be by your side to support you following your accident. Our legal services won't cost you a dime out of pocket, so when you need an injury attorney, call us. We're The Advocates, your Utah personal injury attorneys. You didn't deserve to be in an accident, but you do deserve an advocate.
This is the Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find the Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hey, Jake made it to the office on a Friday.
I'm the hero you need, but not the one you deserve.
Check my guy out on Giving Friday, presented by The Advocates, theadvocates.com. The best injury attorneys in the business. You guys, you're out there riding your bike this weekend. Don't melt. It's going to be hot. Please put on a helmet. The Advocates remind you to be responsible, to be safe on our roads, in cars, on bicycles, on motorcycles. Look out for our friends on two wheels. But if the unfortunate happens, if you get hit while you're riding your bicycle, your motorcycle, you get into an accident at work today, don't hesitate. Get to theadvocates.com. Chat with an injury attorney live online, and it won't cost you a dime at theadvocates.com. And as you know, today is Giving Friday. What does that mean? The Advocates and the Road Home are working together to provide basic essentials for less fortunate children. School supplies, clothing, socks, underwear, pens, pencils, lunch bags, backpacks. The Advocates and the Road Home for the 20th year running, working to provide underprivileged children the basic essentials so they can get your education. Hook it up right now. Hit the Advocates on Venmo. It's Giving Friday. You know this is what we do. We this year, on such a special year where it is the 20th year that the Advocates and the Road Home are working together. In the next 6 weeks, we would like to raise $5,000 for the Advocates and the Road Home and for underprivileged kids going back to school this fall. Let's do it right now. Hook it up. Here's what we're doing. You make a donation. You send a screenshot to Jake. SLC Jake on Instagram. SLC Jake on Twitter. Send him a screenshot. We will give away 2 $100 Amazon gift cards today. Plain and simple. All you have to do to qualify, all you have to do is make a donation of any denomination. 5, 25, 105, $1,000,005. That's all you have to do. Hit the Advocates on Venmo, Advocates donations on Venmo. Take a screenshot, send it to Jake in the message box, because you can put a message there. Just say Monty for the kids. That's all you got to say. The Road Home. TRH, the Road Home. TRH Monty. Whatever it is. Monty kids. Monty school kids. The Road Home Monty. That's all you have to do.
Don't mess it up.
And you could win a $100 Amazon gift card. And perhaps, the very first donation might also win an Amazon gift card. Not promising, but let's see what it is, how much, who it is.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hook it up. The Advocates on Venmo. Advocates donations. Hello to everybody watching the show. Mountain Mama, first one in today. Have some stuff I got to do out of town this morning. Where are you burying the bodies? Hope y'all have a good Giving Friday show and hit the like button. Amen to that. Hit the like button. Let's get right to work, because there is a big story in the NBA surrounding your Chicago Bulls. Well, there are no Bulls fans. As a long-suffering. Why did you come to work today? Well, because I knew we were going to talk about how shitty the Bulls are. And I love this song.
Yeah.
I love this song.
Yeah.
The Chicago Bulls. Obviously, we are going through a change in Chicago again. and this will not be the last one. The Chicago Bulls are a wreck. I think we all know that. Having covered that team, having grown up rooting for that team, the Chicago Bulls rarely make good decisions. And over the last 48 hours, they didn't make very many good decisions. Yesterday was not a good day for the Chicago Bulls. We'll talk about the Alex Caruso trade to OKC coming up in a moment. But this story with the Utah Jazz and the Chicago Bulls, there are reports that the Chicago Bulls are aggressively looking to trade Zach LaVine before the NBA draft. They are, according to reports, talking to the Utah Jazz and the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, everybody around the Sixers has flatly denied that this is a story. Zach LaVine, according to sources inside the 76ers and many reports, go and find it. The Philadelphia 76ers have little to no interest in Zach LaVine, which makes a lot of sense. Do the Utah Jazz have interest in Zach LaVine? I can tell you, according to sources close to the Utah Jazz, the Jazz and the Bulls have had conversations about Zach LaVine, but there is an important part to this conversation. The Bulls and the Jazz have had extensive trade talks for multiple seasons now, starting with Gobert, continuing with Donovan Mitchell. Now I think continuing conversations around Zach LaVine. I do not think this trade happens. I want to make that very clear before everybody's like, well, Uncle Monty said it was going to happen. I do not believe that there is an avenue or an end game that sees Zach LaVine end up playing for the Utah Jazz. I could see other scenarios. Is this a buyout? Ryan Smith is not a guy right now that is spending money. He is not a guy that is cutting dudes checks. That's not typically outside of one Russell Westbrook deal before he landed an NHL franchise that requires a stadium renovation and a complete development of a redistrict, which, he's getting a ton of taxpayer money for, but he's still got to put his own cash into it. He does not seem, according to NBA sources and Jazz sources I talk to, willing to spend a whole bunch of money out of pocket, which is why I don't see this trade happening. The other reason I don't see this trade happening is that the Chicago Bulls have been and continue to be fans of Colin Sexton. And if you look at the trade scenarios, and while I have not run this through trade machines or, pivot tables, it would strike me as a possibility that John Collins, who the Jazz really would like to move, and his salary, along with Colin Sexton, to the Chicago Bulls for Zach LaVine and the one player that Danny Ainge and the Jazz have coveted for 2 years now, Ayo Dosunmu. Financially, that trade works. But this is going to be about a lot more than finances. If a deal between the Bulls and the Jazz happen, and again, I'm not convinced it's going to, I would put it at 15% max. There's going to have to be a hell of a lot of draft capital involved in this. And I'm not talking about pick swaps. I'm talking about straight up draft compensation coming to the Utah Jazz. If they are going to take an enormous contract on Zach LaVine, a guy that, let's not forget, has annual knee issues. He has knee issues that will never go away. You're going to have to kick in an enormous amount of draft capital. And I am telling you, according to my sources, that is not going to happen. This trade, I just think, never gets off the ground because there isn't an appetite from the Chicago Bulls to give up their future when they may well be tearing this down. And this is probably the most important point. If you are the Chicago Bulls, how much do you value DeMar DeRozan? Because you traded arguably his best friend on the team in Alex Caruso. And again, we're going to talk about that deal in a minute. But you traded Alex Caruso. You're trading Zach LaVine, and whatever heat exists between DeMar and LaVine, you're still trading your two, arguably, outside of DeMar, your two most important players. Do you really think DeMar DeRozan's going to have an appetite to re-sign with the Chicago Bulls? If you move Caruso and LaVine, why would he? And I think it's a critical factor. It's another reason I don't see this trade happening, especially not to the Utah Jazz. Jake, it just seems very far-fetched to me.
Yeah, and I think the best point that you make there is the willingness to spend money right now for Ryan Smith and the Utah Jazz. I think that, when this story came out, everyone was like, oh, well, there could easily be a 3-team situation here. And, we're right back in the middle of, NBA summer trade chaos, and I think that was kind of the initial reaction. But when I saw this, I was like, the only way this could even have a chance of happening is if Philly was interested in getting involved in a 3-team situation, which they're not. They're just not interested in LaVine or that trade. And so for that reason alone, I was like, yeah, this probably doesn't happen. And I think that as far as DeMar is concerned for the Bulls, that's exactly right. I mean, if you're going to trade his best friend on the roster in Alex Caruso, and you're going to trade Zach LaVine, the Bulls are no longer a contender in the East. You clearly are going to take a step back to try to build a better roster, which is fine. So to me, as far as the Jazz are concerned, I just don't think that the Jazz this offseason certainly are going to be a team that's looking to bring on a lot of salary or looking to take that step forward that organization in their position would be looking to take. I think that Ryan Smith is going to continue to be conservative. I think that Ryan Smith is not going to be looking to bring in star players, and it's no surprise that John Collins is the guy they want to move, because John Collins has one of the bigger contracts on the cap right now. And by the way, I'm still curious what the Utah Jazz are looking at for an extension with Lauri Markkanen, because honestly, like there's a trade market for them. They have offers now. I'm not sitting here saying that they're going to take those offers, but if you're not going to take the offers and you're not going to trade them, or you're not going to extend them, I don't know what the plan is for Lauri. And that to me is the biggest issue when we talk about trades involving the Utah Jazz. I don't know what the plan is for Lauri Markkanen. I don't know what the plan is for Walker Kessler. I don't know what the plan is for Colin Sexton. There's not clear cut, like, hey, this is someone that we're just 1,000% committed to because this is what we're trying to do with them, right? Or like, this is someone that, like Keontae George. If you don't think Keontae George is the number 1 point guard, why are we not hearing about moving him? Why are we not hearing about, hey, like we're looking to add more draft capital still before the draft, and pretty much everybody except Lauri is available? Why are we not hearing that in the media? You notice you're not seeing that. So my point here is that when I saw this yesterday, I was like, there's no way that the Jazz are going to add Zach LaVine. That doesn't work with where they are or the timeline that they're on. So I just don't think it's a great fit overall. And I honestly don't know when the Jazz are going to start spending money, because it's not going to be this offseason, and I'm not sure it's next offseason.
I am very curious to see that, because I think when you look at the situation with the Jazz, they don't have a current direction with this roster. Okay, so we're all in on the young guys. Well, then why is Jordan Clarkson still here? One of the most perplexing moves, and we talked about it at the time. Guy I was talking to yesterday said, I still don't understand why they did not move Jordan Clarkson, and what did they do to get him to opt back in to his deal? And it is really surprising. And you look at Colin Sexton, you look at John Collins. If they trade John Collins and they are efforting John Collins, what was the point of doing that deal? Why did you trade for John Collins? It is a head scratcher. You're not building a roster. You traded Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell for, in essence, what netted you Colin Sexton, Lauri Markkanen, and you look at Walker Kessler as a great example of this conversation. Walker Kessler was not good last year. That was not a developmental year. That was not another big step forward. Walker Kessler took a step back last year. And largely, most people believe it's because John Collins is here. And so the question is, did you sacrifice Walker Kessler to play John Collins only to turn around and trade John Collins? It just, You gave away a year. And I know that Jazz fans don't want to hear that. But you've given away a year. We haven't even tapped into, is Will Hardy a viable NBA head coach at the moment? Because his relationship with Walker Kessler really makes you wonder about that.
Well, and I feel like a lot of Jazz fans and the organization certainly don't want to have the Will Hardy conversation. They don't want to talk about, well, is Will just a placeholder? Because you can't have it. See, and this is the problem for the Jazz. You can't have it both ways.
Nope.
Like, for people who've been covering the NBA, you're not going to get a free pass here. So you can't have it where the messaging is we're all in on the young guys and Will Hardy's this great up and coming young head coach and we're building in the right direction, right? But then at the same time, you do John Collins type deals. You keep Jordan Clarkson. And then you watch this team. And I know for a fact the hardcore Jazz fan on this show, the Brandon Butlers, the Greg Hawkins, like the mainstays on this show, and other folks on Twitter that I interact with during the season, we're like, I don't know what this team's doing. We don't play defense. We don't play offense. We don't really have a scheme. We have terrible defense, and our out of timeout stuff really is not that good. And so whether it's the coaching side of it or the front office side of it, the organization has no direction or movement forward. It's almost as if, and I know this might sound harsh, but it's almost as if we're just spinning. We're just
you're gliding.
You're like just kind of chilling because Ryan wants to do all these things outside of the basketball side, whether it's the hockey team, the Olympics, like rebrands. And
BYU.
That's the hard part. BYU, right? And that's the hard part for me when I look at this organization and I see stories like this come out. There was never a chance in how you were trading for Zach LaVine. That was never going to be. It
makes zero sense.
You were never doing that. Like, that's not going to happen.
If you send John Collins and Colin Sexton and you end up with Zach LaVine, Ayo Dosunmu, and a package of picks, are you better? That's the question that I think you have to ask about the Utah Jazz. If you make that deal, are you a better basketball team? And the answer is an unequivocal, no, you are not. And I love Ayo Dosunmu as a player. He is in an absolute stall in development. And you are trading a guy, in my opinion, in Zach LaVine, that's without question a salary dump. You're dumping a bad contract. And you're also taking a guy in Ayo Dosunmu that's in a stall developmentally. On a roster, you're putting him into a roster in an organization that is stalled developmentally. So you're taking on a knee injury, you're taking on a project in a young guard in an organization that isn't growing and developing young players. And much to Jake's point about why Danny Ainge would say that about Keontae George. You just said the guy you drafted last year's not a starting point guard or not a number one point guard. Like, it is surprising to me that you would even be engaged in these conversations because you're talking about problems. You're taking other people's problems. And you're doing that. The logic would have to be, we're doing that for more draft picks. And I would hope that it's not in this year's draft, that it would be at least in next year's draft.
Seriously.
Which is significantly better. That this year's draft, this is the other unspoken amongst Jazz fans. This year's draft is a shit stock. It's not good.
Garbage.
Yeah, it's not good. This year's draft, if we're truth telling, I don't believe that there is an MVP caliber player in this year's draft. I don't see that. There is not a VW. There is not a, in my opinion, I don't see a number one player in this draft. I truly do not.
But let's say that there was a number one player in this year's draft. Do we really trust the Utah Jazz and this organization to develop them and turn them into a number one player in the NBA? Because that's the thing. That's the hard reality of where the Jazz are at right now, which is, hey, cool, you can have these goals and you can say, yeah, we're gonna bring someone in. We're gonna do this deal and eat a huge contract on a guy with a bad knee. because we want to bring in draft capital. So you can do that. But ultimately, if you can't turn the package that you get out of the draft into a number one player, what are we even doing? And my real hesitation right now, and my real struggle is, I know for a fact that Danny Ainge didn't just forget how to build an NBA championship roster. And this is the part that bothers me, because this part suggests that it's like, yeah, well, you've got a guy, Danny Ainge, and you've got a guy, you've got a front office that I think is definitely capable of building certainly a Western Conference Finals contender. Certainly. I have no question about that. But you don't have an owner right now who's willing to fund it. And I really struggle with that concept, because the decision-making goes all the way back to bringing Danny Ainge in. The same thought process of, hey, we're going to bring Danny in, but we're not going to do anything with Danny, is the same process of, hey, we're going to trade for John Collins, but because we traded for John Collins, we wasted we wasted him, and we're just going to trade him. There's no Walker Kessler sitting here rotting on the bench because we wanted to bring in a veteran. Like, what is the point? That's my thing. So when the Bulls are out here clearly trying to chop down their salary and clearly trying to move on from some of these guys, and you, the Jazz, are sitting here like, yeah, we have money, we have draft capital, we could make a deal happen if we wanted to, but even if we made the deal happen, that wouldn't really put us in a better spot at this time because we don't have money or enough money to complete the roster. That's what you can't get past. And I don't know where, like, how long is this cycle of just sort of sitting here? That's what I'm wondering. Is this like a 4-year thing, a 2-year thing? Like, how long?
I don't know.
I
don't know the answer to it. And then there is the inexplicable, the Chicago Bulls traded Alex Caruso to OKC for Josh Giddey. Josh Giddey essentially was accused of and in the middle of an investigation of sex with an underage girl. And you traded for him. Nobody else would. You did. Not only did you trade, the Chicago Bulls trade for Josh Giddey, they sent Alex Caruso to OKC, arguably one of the most in-demand on-ball defenders in the NBA. All-NBA guy, All-NBA defensive guy 2 years in a row. Makes Oklahoma City significantly better, can do more things, was in demand. And you traded him for Josh Giddey. Not only that, you now crippled yourself in a Zach LaVine deal, because if you can get Alex Caruso, you're willing to buy out Zach LaVine. I think there would have been half a dozen teams who would have done that. And now that all goes out the window. And you traded DeMar DeRozan's best friend on the roster in Alex Caruso. This trade, beyond the Josh Giddey off-court underage girl thing, this trade is one of the worst trades in recent Bulls memory.
Yeah.
This is a terrible deal.
It's an embarrassing deal. I don't know.
Terrible.
I don't know who saw this trade and was like, yeah, this seems like a good idea. Oh, OKC wants to offload Josh Giddey and move on from the just frankly terrible PR for the organization. Oh, yeah, we'll pick him up. And I love the reporting from Woj yesterday, right? Where Woj is talking about how the Bulls view Giddey as a guy with unrealized superstar potential. You're serious. You really think that Josh Giddey is someone that's going to be 25 plus a night, 10 assists a night? Like,
if he is, you're going to be awful.
Like, my God, dude, what are you looking at?
He's a 30% three-point shooter. I think he's 31% for his career from three. He's not a good shooter. If he's averaging 25 points a game, you don't have a star on your roster.
Like, did the Bulls front office look at the East and say, okay, we're not better than the Celtics. We're not better than the Heat. We're not better than the Bucks. We're not better than Indiana, certainly. We're not better than the Knicks. We're definitely better than Charlotte. We're like, you see what I mean? Like, you're looking at an Eastern Conference that certainly has gotten deeper, but the East is gettable. The East is gettable if you'll just build a solid roster. And what really bothers me is like this. I saw some people talking about how it was like, oh, well, they shipped Caruso out west and they're not going to see him. And, it's fine. And it's like, no, dude, it's not fine.
No,
it's not freaking fine, because now, to your point, as you've said several times this morning, you can't tell me DeMar's excited to play with these guys or without his dudes. And I get it. You probably weren't, NBA finals good with your current roster, but you were playoff good. You were, first round, maybe, in your best year with this roster, second round good. And that's saying something in Chicago. Like, at least then you're relevant. But to have this team go back, because there's no doubt, in my opinion, you are going to now take a step back. You're going to trade LaVine, and that's probably going to be a bad deal too, because again, to your point, you lost your leverage. And now we're going to step back into Garbo, Ben Gordon, Kirk Heinrich with nobody to play with teams. That's who we're going to step back into. And there's just no reason for it.
Yeah, I think DeMar DeRozan is not going to go back there at all. All right, let's get your thoughts in here on Giving Friday. Let's go. Jake, do we have any submissions yet?
Yes. We have one submission so far.
Who is it? Whose is this?
Floridian Maury Alvarez is in.
Maury Alvarez makes a $20 donation. Monty Show Kids. Thank you. If the Jazz trade with the Bulls, I trust they will mess it up in the long run. Thank you. That's awesome.
Right?
That's awesome.
I mean, I don't even I know you're a little tongue in cheek there, but I don't even think that's wrong. Like, that's the problem. I don't think that's wrong.
No. Maury Alvarez, first one in. So Maury will match your Advocates donation with a $20 Amazon gift card. There you go. Congratulations. Maury Alvarez wins our first Amazon gift card today. Again, we are partnering with the Advocates because they are working with The Road Home, one of the foremost homeless and underprivileged organizations in the country, to provide school supplies. And I mean basic necessities. We're talking about clothing, socks, underwear, backpacks, pencils, pens, paper, the basic necessities that underprivileged kids don't have access to and that we all take for granted. And while I know there's a lot of people struggling, you don't need to make $1 million donation. 5, 20, $1 million, whatever you have in the couch cushions, hook it up on Venmo. Here it is right here. The Advocates on Venmo, Advocates donations on Venmo. Matt Ritson for $5 says Monty to school kids. Okay, so we are at $25. James Stadium Guy, Oak State class of 2004, gives us $10. It's declining my Venmo again. Sorry, my bank is being dumb. Please give to the kids. So we're at $35 this morning.
Yeah.
Everybody who makes a donation, James and Matt Ritson included, we're going to give away a $100 Amazon gift card this morning to at least one person. Maury Alvarez was the first one on Venmo. Maury, we matched your donation with a $20 Amazon gift card, so make sure you DM Jake. All you have to do here, it's pretty easy. All you have to do here is get on Venmo. Send the Advocates donations. Send them a Venmo of any denomination, 5, 20, 100, whatever you got. Send them a Venmo, mention Monty and the kids in the comment section, and you're entered to win. Make sure you take a screenshot of it, send it to Jake on Instagram, SLC Jake on Instagram, you're entered to win.
Yes.
What are you doing over there?
Talking to Maury.
All right, good. There you go. Hook it up. Let's get your comments on the Zach LaVine and the Jazz. Let's see. Wow, look at you guys this morning. Ghost of Gumby says second first. Daniel Dixon, hello. Dakota Tubbs, second, first. Okay. Our favorite mail carrier, Aaron Wilson. Pew, pew. Huge Texas Tech guy. Yo. It's AW. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Dakota says Greg definitely needs an advocate of emotional damage. Greg Hawkins, our guy Greg Hawkins, was stuck on a tarmac in Salt Lake City for 3 hours yesterday on his way to, I believe he said Iowa, for a funeral. His plane was so delayed, his connection through Denver was not possible anymore. So you're going to a funeral, you're stuck on the tarmac for 3 hours. You finally get in the air, you get to Iowa, you missed your flight, or you get to Denver, you missed your flight to Iowa, and now there's not another flight that'll get you there in time for the funeral. And he says that the airline won't compensate him. He flew with his mother. The airline won't compensate them, and that's because it was a weather delay. There was a ground stop in Denver because of weather. Hope you're good, dude. Suh, dude.
Dude.
Stogie. Wow, I finally catch a live show after roughly a year of subscribing. We love it.
Hey.
We love it. Appreciate you. How's the water situation?
Dude.
Caps Lock Friday. Let's go. I don't have water. Appreciate it. Stogie. The Jazz are barely relevant at all, even back when they had Stockton and Malone.
Well, look, I think the natural reaction is to go back to that time, and I just don't think it's necessary. We're in a different time now, and if you want to hate on the Jazz, that's fine. I'm not even a Jazz fan. We cover the Jazz because we have a following on that. We broke a bunch of news when the Gobert Donnie trades happened, and
Jake, we don't have sources.
Yeah, we don't watch Jazz games.
Trust me,
now that Jazz Plus is a thing. But anyway, the point is that ultimately, a lot of Jazz fans want to get back to that. They want to get back to the Jazz being relevant and being, even if you're just a pain in the ass in the West, even if you're the season ender for other teams who, are trying to get in or go deeper in the playoffs, that's what Jazz fans want. And I don't know when that's going to happen. And I feel like we've been talking about it for 2-3 years now under Ryan's ownership. Hey, when are we going to turn this around? When are we actually going to invest? When are we going to build a playoff team? And I'm telling you guys, I would change your expectations because I don't believe for a second, and again, it's my opinion, could be wrong, but I don't believe that Ryan Smith is going to invest in this team anytime in the next 2 to 3 seasons. I think what he's going to do is he's going to hold on to his money. He's going to get the hockey team established, and we're going to do a bunch of rebrands, and we're going to celebrate all this cool, cheesy ass stuff, and then maybe at some point the Jazz will start winning again. But I would not even be a little bit surprised if the hockey team was in the playoffs before the Jazz are. Wouldn't be surprised by that even a little bit.
Yeah, that would be incredibly disappointing. Incredibly disappointing. Main event. The Jazz remind me of the owner from the first Major League movie. They don't want to win. I think want is not the word I would use.
No.
They're not willing to do what it takes to win. And I say that because I think Ryan Smith doesn't want to spend his own money to make it happen. And if we've talked a lot about Ryan on this show, Ryan Smith is a billionaire that is asking for a handout. And everything Ryan Smith has done as the owner of the Jazz has been disappointing, and I don't think that's too strong. The arena renovation, getting the All-Star game, pretty dang good. Pretty dang good. I think one of the bigger issues here is that his player movement has been, well, I don't know the right way to say it. His player movement has been mid at best.
Right.
I say that because you did nothing to backfill Donnie and Rudy. You didn't replace their money. You saved a bunch of money. He's not willing, Ryan Smith, to reach into his own pocket and spend to win an NBA championship. I think his priority is, hey, let's bring a hockey team to Salt Lake City, renovate the arena, and build a downtown district that will put more money in my pocket. My belief is that's where his priorities lie. And until that changes, he's not going to spend on the Jazz. And one of the main reasons I don't see him making a LaVine deal is it would require them to take on $3 to $5 million in salary. And I don't see that happening. I truly do not. And I think he's willing to make minor deals like, re-signing or opting back into Jordan Clarkson. Re-signing Clarkson, he's a fan favorite. It's not a major star player. Add a $40 million contract to your books.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Smith is not willing to do that, in my opinion, at this point. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope tomorrow, today, yesterday, I hope they go and make a deal for a true difference-making wing superstar in this league. What have they done previously that would tell us that that's going to happen? Because your best indicator of future action is past behavior. He's shown us no past behavior that he's willing to add salary. Frankly, to the contrary, he is willing to cut salary. He has got one of the most team-friendly contracts in Lauri Markkanen that I think we've ever seen in this league. And he's trying to trade his biggest contract in John Collins. Let that sink in. His biggest contract is John Collins. Oh, we're bringing the kid home. He's from Layton. Didn't work out. Did not work out.
Even though by pretty much everybody's estimation, John held up his end of the bargain.
I think John Collins played well.
Yeah.
It's not John's fault that Atlanta offered him all that money. And it did get you out of, what did they do? That deal was Rudy Gay, if I remember right. It got you out of Rudy Gay's deal.
Yeah. Which was not a team-friendly deal.
And you got more production and a guy that you could play reasonable minutes because you couldn't play Rudy Gay. Okay, great. But now you're going to turn around and trade your largest contract, not for the first time, not for the second time, but for the third time.
And I'm just curious, when do we get the Lauri extension? Because at some point you are going to have to extend him or obviously make a decision on him. And I think that Ryan has always gone with the angle of, hey, like, let's make sure the fans have a great experience and merch and like all you guys know what I'm talking about. He's always kind of stoked that fandom fire.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of trouble thinking that Jazz fans, would just look past the fact that, yeah, we didn't extend Lauri. Lauri's gone. You're telling me if Lauri leaves this organization one way or the other, that Jazz fan would be fine with that?
They're going to attempt to extend him. I don't think they're willing to give him a maximum extension.
Well, and that's, I think, the question. Attempt to extend him. Will they make a reasonable attempt? Because he's going to want the max. He's earned the max. Yeah, I agree. He's earned the max. So if you're not willing to give him a max, are you really trying to extend Lauri Markkanen?
We'll see.
Come on.
And every Jazz fan yesterday on Twitter, Lauri loves being here. Okay, cool. Talk to me at contract time. And it is contract time. It is contract time. And again, I think the Jazz could make a Lauri Markkanen trade right now. I know almost for a fact that they have multiple deals on the table. And they haven't done that. And I think it's because Ryan Smith very much cares what you think about him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Ryan Smith is worried about what people will say if you trade Lauri Markkanen. And as he should. He's been great. Giving Friday on the Monty Show. Jake, who we got in here? Tubinsky making an $11 donation. Monty for the kids. Mike Gundy and Oak State have the 11th most wins in the college football playoff era. So he donated $11. I appreciate that.
I'm a man.
I appreciate that. We are moving the needle now. Get on Venmo. Advocates donations. You see it right here on the screen.
Yes.
Advocates donations.
Do it.
They are working with the Road Home to provide less fortunate kids the basic necessities for school, things like supplies, clothing, underwear, socks. And I say it every year that we've talked about this. Imagine that you're a 10-year-old kid who doesn't have parents who can afford to buy you nicer clothes, who can afford to buy you underwear. Imagine going to school without underwear. as a 5th grader or a 7th grader. I mean, let that insecurity sink in. Maybe you're wearing socks that have holes in them. Maybe you're not wearing socks at all. Maybe you're not wearing socks and you're probably not wearing the nicest shoes. How much heat are you taking for that? Let's end that. Let's help kids who don't have another alternative feel better about themselves. Let's help kids empower themselves to end that cycle of poverty in their life. Empower them to be educated. Empower them to be confident. Empower them to wake up every morning and look forward to the day. That's what we're doing. That's what this is about. Advocates donations on Venmo. In the comment section, just put, hey, Monty for the kids, and then whatever message you would like. And today we will give away at least one $100 Amazon gift card. We break 1,000, we're gonna break the bank. We're gonna give away a bunch of Amazon gift cards.
Yeah.
So let's see. Dakota says, morning, Steve. Stepanik says, good morning. Dude that abides. Thanks for the Friday show, fellas.
Dude, whoa, bro. Thank me, dude. I showed up. Like, you guys should be tipping me personally in the comment section. I showed up today. I didn't go to the rollers and get my taquito. I came to do the show. This is what I get.
Scott of Greywater Watch. Oh, Jesus. If Lonzo Ball didn't get injured,
bro,
is one of the greatest NBA what-ifs. It really is. Because I think people forget Lonzo Ball was a baller in this
and they're
league.
going to trade him too. They're going to trade him too.
I don't know that he ever plays again. He's been out. You guys understand he hasn't played a game in 2 years?
Yeah, but he got his knee redone, and they got that figured out, and most people expect him to make a comeback.
How? Do you trust the guy at all?
Well, no. I mean, I don't think anybody knows what he'll be, but I think if he can prove he can stay healthy, I think he deserves the opportunity to prove he can stay healthy. But if he comes back and he's the same guy, yeah, his career's probably over.
Marvell Strickland. The Jazz could have traded for both Alex and Giddey. Giddey will be a great player down the road. Okay, based on what is Josh Giddey going to be a great player? So he doesn't shoot the ball well. He doesn't seem to have a real, what's the word? A real great feel for the game, right? He's not a natural flow player. He very much has to plot and think about what he's doing. Does that make that doesn't make great players? And when you are the center of a criminal investigation, is that a guy you really want on your roster? Somehow I don't think it is. He's not 25 points a game good, but he's 6'7", and he did fine before OKC got good. He didn't do that.
Okay, next comment.
Boston Mapes, is there not an emotional damage drop? It's shocking.
Bro.
Where's the emotional
damage?
damage?
Do we need an
emotional damage.
Why do we need that drop? Why would that? Why is that?
Well, as a Bulls
here?
fan, I need.
Oh, okay.
You know, Scott of Greywater Watch. Hockey ratings are up. Apparently, Ryan might know what he's doing. I'm not saying that Ryan Smith isn't a good businessman. Bill Qualtrics got the Jazz. Totally understand it. Paper billionaire. But does he know what he's doing in acquiring assets? Clearly. Does he know what he's doing in building an NBA basketball team? Does he know what he's doing in marketing anything? Because any marketing initiatives he's touched have been a shit show. There's no other way to spin that.
Agreed.
The Jazz uniform rollout, horrendous. No purple uniforms because you didn't submit them in time, and what most people think was forgot. Horrendous. This Utah NHL Salt Lake City Hockey Club, the Yetis thing, horrendous. You're going to announce the name and then you can't use it for a year. You can't sell a jersey for a year.
With the, I guess,
horrendous.
Not new name, the official name, I guess. Like, it's
horrendous.
There's too much baggage with it, dude. It's too clunky. Like, it should have just been like, people ask me, hey, well, why didn't you why is it surprising that they're just going with Utah Hockey Club for a year and then they're going to have, this whole thing. What was surprising to me about it is you did this whole, you did a rollout for what was already rolled out. Like, we knew that it was going to be Utah Hockey Club, but you kind of tried to frame it in this way where it was like, oh, well, look at these new jerseys and check out the merch. And what stood out to me so much is that it is a Utah Jazz hockey jersey. It's the same font. It's the same company doing it. It lacks the soul that the Jazz jerseys frankly lack. And I looked at it and I said, hey, I get it. I actually like the baby blue color scheme, but I don't like the way it feels. I still, to this day, even with the Jazz jerseys they just did, the new purple rollout 2 weeks ago or whatever, whenever that happened. My first question was, why don't you have one that says Jazz? Right? I get it, Utah, totally get it. But why not have one that says Jazz? Because that's what the Jazz jersey has been for decades. It's been the note, and it literally says Jazz on the front. And all of them say Utah. And I understand, and I love that Ryan is so committed to the Utah brand, right? Hey, we want to push the state forward, and we want to sort of step into the spotlight, if you will, I guess, if you want to put it that way. But I do kind of feel like Ryan is a bit tone deaf to, hey, you can't just skip out on the heritage of the organization.
But Jake, it's Purple Mountains.
I don't know, man. I'm not trying to be a hater.
It's Purple Mountains, Jake.
Yeah. I don't know. I like that they redid it and it's purple and it's black and white.
But Jake, it's Purple Mountains, bro.
I think that's the proper color scheme.
Listen. I get it. You don't want to be the Jazz. You want to be the Utah basketball team. But at least that's what you're telling me. And I would also remind you what the black uniform isn't available until February, I think it is.
Yeah, it's a while.
I mean, you're going back to your quote unquote, and I believe the words they used was our roots. This is going back to your roots?
This was my first reaction when I saw this specific picture. Just look at the two purple uniforms. The only difference between them is the color of the font. That's it.
Well, in the mountain design, and I think they look remarkably similar. There are things like the layered, if you look at Walker Kessler's chest, 24, the layered mountains, the color band, but they look very similar.
You're not wrong, but it might as well be the same unit.
They look very similar.
My point is one of those should say Jazz. One of those should say Jazz. And then you transition into the hockey side, and it looks exactly the same. And I understand on the hockey side why you had to do it where, hey, we did this thing kind of quick. We didn't have time to roll out an original kind of brand for our team. So we had to do Utah. Okay. I get that on some level, but you're a professional sporting organization.
I think the hockey jersey is worse.
Oh, it is. But my point is, you're a professional sporting organization, and this is the best you could do, even on short notice.
I think it's horrendous. I just think it's really, really bad.
I'm genuinely asking in the comments section, am I an asshole for saying, hey, Common Joe guy could have done this? Is that too harsh? Because I feel like that's the truth. I feel like these uniforms right here, the average Joe person could have come up with these. This isn't wow, you guys really came up with some cool stuff.
Groundbreaking.
Hey, this is, you know what I mean? And that's where I feel like it's just yeah, dude, Ryan, you're a businessman. You know how to make $1. As you said, right? Hey, you built Qualtrics. You know how to do the business side of a P&L sheet, but you have no clue how to do marketing initiatives.
Still does not have a full-time video team in-house. Still does not have in my opinion, does not have a large enough marketing department. Contracts his marketing out. I'm telling you.
Right? Like, why?
This is what we're seeing. All right. Your thoughts are welcome. Lee Jensen, when Monty does the Tanner voice, he's Marty. I don't,
It's the Marty Show.
What's a Tanner voice? I don't know what that is. Scott, I love NBA free agency talk. Also, that McDavid guy plays tonight.
Dude.
McNuggets?
Listen to me right now.
We're playing for McNuggets tonight.
If you're not a hockey fan and you haven't been following the Stanley Cup, tonight's the game that you need to tune in.
Yeah, I agree. James says Jake is awesome. I thought you guys broke up over text.
We did.
Okay. Troy Clauston. I saw French toast wrapped sausage on the roller this morning. It was hard to walk away from it. Do you understand that your fecal matter situation has changed the way people from this show go into convenience stores?
Hold up. My fecal matter situation.
Yeah, you ate off of a roll. You ate a taquito off of a roller at a convenience store.
Right.
You ate fecal matter.
Dude, no, I didn't.
Yeah, you did. Actually, you did. You did.
Okay.
You did.
Okay.
And now Troy can't walk past, what did he say? French toast wrapped sausage without thinking about you.
Yeah, wrapped sausage is really hard to walk away from, bro.
Stay hard.
Okay. James, the artist that will be known as the Yetis. No, James, it's Yeti. The Utah Yeti. Not Yetis, the Yeti. Like the cooler. Scott says, great point, Marty. He said Monty, actually. The Ghost of Gumby, I'd laugh if there was a typo on the jersey that read the Utah Yodas. That would be amazing. Back to those Bourbon Street roots for the Jazz, eh? Exactly.
Right? Like, come on.
The Ghost of Gumby, lazy branding and lazy execution. Paper billionaire is going to paper billionaire. Truth. I do web and graphic design, and I could have done a better jersey.
That's my point, dude. Like, the hockey jersey just like the amount of Canva jokes that were made on X the day that these came out was incredible. I mean, people were like, "Oh, did you guys make your hockey jersey in Canva, man?" Like, it's the same.
It's just there's no creativity at all.
Like,
at least it's not fucking purple. If they had been purple, I would have been off the wagon. At least they're not purple. And I don't mind the blue, black, white color scheme. Don't mind it. I think the black jersey is clearly the better alternative here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't mind powder blue. I think as a scheme, it's fine.
But do not tell me that that's what the Yeti jersey is going to look like. And it will be Yeti. Do not tell me that that's what that Yeti jersey is going to look like.
Yeah.
You know, kindergarten kid did that. Could be. The Ghost of Gumby, I did better work in kid pics back in the day. Yes. Calford for Purple Mountain Majesties. I mean, this is a step up. I'm not even
saying I hate these. All I'm saying is I just think you should have one that says Jazz. That's it. That's my only feedback. I think you improved. I think this is, I'm reinventing the wheel here. This is better than white, yellow, and black, Ryan. Okay. It's definitely better.
I don't want to go and get those ugly. I actually didn't hate the black. Okay. I can't say out loud. Okay. Let me get the picture.
Do it. We need to do it.
The black uniform. And I didn't even hate the yellow uniform. Marty. Look here, Marty. Don't you lie to us now, boy. Marty, don't you turn coat on us now. If you look at these uniforms, this is the current uniform from this past season.
Mm-hmm.
The white one smells like somebody's jock. Like that's not that's a practice uniform. Yeah. The black jersey's great. The purple, you forgot that you wanted a purple uniform. The yellow one is, as an alternate, it's not bad. The problem is you left those black, orange, red things that were amazing. Yeah, the gradient was amazing. Is this a step up? Yes, but is it really a step up when you're stepping up from this? That's what, like, you need help. You got to get help.
I just don't understand why you don't have an in-house team. Why do you not have a team inside your building every day that their sole mission is to make you money through merch. Like,
yeah, totally agree. Matt Ritson, they went cheap on the hockey uniform, clearly. James, we should all push for Utah Yodas for the hockey team. It's going to be Yeti. Chad Carter. Hey, Margie, I made those jerseys in MS Paint. Caps Lock Friday. Why are you yelling?
but I had no water for my paint. So
Dakota Tubbs, a member for 10 months.
Oh, let me pull it out for you, Dakota. Okay, there we go. Nice job, dude.
Remember, everyone, Jake and I are registered at the QT Roller at 3101 Southwest Boulevard, KCMO, where the Chiefs and Royals used to play. 64108. 64108.
Okay.
Jake will be there Saturday afternoon.
I won't be there.
Steve Stepanek, we have a store that's dirty when you walk in. I went once, walked in, then out. Okay. The Utah Yodas with Tanner Plummer as the sideline mascot.
Don't you know who I am?
Jeremy Severe, hello. Ryan Smith should pay a marketing team as well as pay for BYU recruits. Yes, he should. In-house, full-time. Or if you hire an agency, it's got to be dynamic. Daniel Dixon, could be worse. They could be pride colors. Pride colors would be a step up.
Let's not.
That'd be a step up.
Yeah.
The Ghost of Gumby, Homie was too cheap to pay for MS Paint. Homie saved coin by designing those jerseys in GIMP. What is GIMP?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I have no
All
idea.
right. Hour number one comes to a close with Jeremy Severe. The new Jazz jersey looks weirdly similar to the Sacramento Kings jersey. Does it really? The purple. And Jazz fan, can I just ask, does everything have to be purple?
Apparently.
Does everything have to be purple?
And they're not bad. They're
not great.
Yeah. I don't know what to tell you. Like, they're not. I'm not like, damn, dude, like, you guys smashed this. I'm just more like, yeah, okay, we checked the box.
Yeah, it is. All I can say is there's Rory looking at the new Jazz uniforms. Hey, Rory, look at these uniforms.
Oh.
Hey, Rory, did you see the new hockey uniforms in Utah for that Utah Hockey Club? Okay.
Come
on, that's a little funny. Right. Exactly. Yes. GIMP, GNU Image Manipulator, open source software.
Okay, that's above my pay grade, bro.
Big Blue Horses. I miss Larry Miller. Everybody misses LHM. You knew he was all in on the Jazz. You never questioned his commitment to Utah and basketball. No, you didn't. Very uninspired jerseys. Yes. The Chad Carter. Wow. Gumby bringing up GIMP. Yikes. The GIMP. Jake's plan for the weekend. Drive to KC. He ain't driving nowhere. Get barbecue at Q39. Get lucky. Sounds like a great plan to me. To which, again, I just say Gumby's correct. With the smirk. Hour number two of the Monty Show, presented by The Advocates, theadvocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business. And again, little slow on the any new Venmos.
Nope.
Little slow on the Venmo, guys.
Yeah, man.
Let's go. Advocates donations. We are raising money for the Advocates, and we are trying to drive them as much coin as possible because they are partnered with the Road Home for the 20th consecutive year. The Advocates and the Road Home partnering together to help underprivileged kids have the minimum required, not extravagant, not trapper folders. You remember trapper folders?
Yes.
Not mechanical pencils, not the greatest, nicest backpacks, a backpack. Pencils, pens, paper, clothing, underwear, and socks. Let's get crazy, a pair of shoes to wear to school. That's what we're talking about. And I know that we've all had conversations about whether we're in a recession. We're not. Or I understand people are struggling. Things are expensive. Inflation is huge. Now apply that to somebody who's homeless. Now apply that to a fifth grader who doesn't know where his next meal's coming from, let alone a backpack that he can take to school. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about pants, shirts. We're talking about kids having a jacket to wear to school. Not Jordans, just a pair of shoes that they can feel confident in when they are going to school to try and get an education, to improve their lives. Maybe they don't know it when they're 10 years old. But think about the underprivileged sophomore in high school who routinely gets bullied because of what he's wearing or not wearing. That, to me, is the opportunity we have today. $1, $5, $100, $1,000. Whatever you have, whatever's in your wallet and in your heart, I encourage you to make a donation to the Advocates on Venmo. Advocates donations on Venmo. You already know the Advocates is the best injury attorneys in the business. We tell you every day on the show. But the thing I love about the Advocates is they actually care about their communities. Everywhere that they work, which is in most of the places where you are right now, the Advocates give back to the community. The Advocates work in the community. The Advocates care about the community. They're out doing bike safety programs. They're out partnering with the Road Home. They're out doing Santa, replacing Santa, Sub for Santa programs. They're out working to bolster the lives of our kids. Let's help them out today. It's Giving Friday on the Monty Show. Here's what we're doing. We already gave away a $20 Amazon gift card to Maury Alvarez because he was the first one to make a donation this morning. We have a $100 Amazon gift card that we will give away in the next 40 minutes. All you have to do is make a donation on Venmo. And I don't care. Is it $5? Is it $105? I don't care. Everybody who makes a donation on Venmo to the Advocates donations will be entered to win that Amazon gift card. So if you're on Twitter, DM Jake, SLC Jake. If you DM Jake on Instagram or Twitter, SLC Jake. Hook it up. Show us. Take a screenshot of your Venmo. You'll be entered to win the Amazon gift card. It's that simple.
It's easy.
Let's see. James, more for the kids. Seriously, Jake, I lived in Kansas City for 2 years. Q39 is really good barbecue.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Jake is going to Kansas City for the next week.
Yeah.
Which is why we won't be doing a show next week.
Right.
So wish him well. Appreciate that, James. Thank you. Brandon Butler, for the kids, can't Venmo today. Okay. Thank you. $10. Appreciate that. Wet blanket. When Trump was president, America was setting economic records. We weren't. This is what election cycles do to us.
And by the way, just an easy question, Slick. Why the hell are you commenting that?
Yeah, like what is the... Mike Chase, not sure to be happy or upset that Ryan Smith is helping BYU's NIL and not helping the Jazz get good players. It's a very interesting point. Very interesting point. Chad Carter, these nonprofits need to actually give back to our communities in tangible ways to maintain tax-free status. No child should be shoeless, homeless, or hungry in America. It's wild.
Yeah.
It is. I think if you guys have watched this show, maybe you're new. I know we have a lot of new listeners and viewers to our show. It is something that I'm really passionate about. The idea that, and I think we all had friends growing up who were less fortunate. I was really fortunate. I grew up in a 1% universe as a kid. I never wanted for anything. I had a big family. Like I had everything I wanted. Well, that's not true. My mom would never buy me Jordans. There were a lot of things she would never buy me, but I did not want for anything. But I had friends, many friends who, we would all go to Scotty's Red Hots, this hot dog stand in Round Lake. And we would always buy one of our friends lunch because he never had money. And if we weren't buying him lunch, I mean, and this kid was really cool. We played baseball together. We played soccer together. Like we played Super Mario Brothers together. Like just a really good kid who came from a really poor home. And he showered at my house multiple times. Like he showered this girl, Shannon Moon, who I went to school with.
Mm-hmm.
Her mom used to have her home open to anybody. And this cat used to come and eat dinner after school and take a shower at her house. And then he would go home. Like we've got to have, there's ways to end that. And it breaks my heart when we sit here and we contemplate how many kids struggle just to have a backpack at school.
Yeah.
The things we take for granted. Lunch every day, or where we're going to sleep that night. I just believe that we all are so fortunate. And if you're not, hey, I'm with you on that. I understand the struggle financially. I do. I have lived in my car in a hotel parking lot, Condell Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I haven't thought about those
Condell.
days. Many years ago. I get it. We can do more. And I really appreciate that you guys are donating this morning. Thank you for that. Oh, is that a new one?
Yes.
There we go. Appreciate that. Boston Mapes, when Mrs. Monty ran the showgram and the mayor was around, we were setting records.
Mm-hmm.
For what? 2 weeks ago, we set a record on this show for one day.
Yeah.
One day. I think we raised $1,300 in one day on the show, which was amazing. All right, let me dump this Venmo in here.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got. I do. Mrs. Monty just,
It's too important for us now,
she's an angry young lady who just hates everything about our show. So,
yeah.
No, she actually works for a living.
No, Scott Palmer.
Scott Palmer for $10. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Scott Palmer entered to win. So I appreciate it's 10. Do you understand what $10 to an organization like the Road Home means? The Road Home works every day in our communities to feed children, to feed less fortunate people, to provide for less fortunate people, to help the homeless community, to help people get back on their feet. $10 to the Road Home is massive.
Yeah.
It is really big. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Scott Palmer. When the Tanner voice was part of the showgram, we were setting records. You guys keep mentioning this Tanner voice. What is the Tanner voice? I don't understand what the Tanner voice. Do you know what the Tanner voice is?
No idea. I mean, I would take a video submission showing what the Tanner voice is.
Oh, is that you're baiting people now?
Mm-hmm.
Let me see it.
Marty.
Hey, Marty. Hey, Marty.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine. Anyway, all right. Hour number 2 is always presented by the Advocates. Real quick, one more NBA topic, because then we got to get to this Paul Finebaum thing and his
stay hard
with Lincoln Riley. We got to get to that. The Lakers hired JJ Redick as their head coach yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Good move, bad move. What are your thoughts on it?
I think it's the only move you had left. I think, the Lakers, like I said yesterday on the show, when you missed out on Budenholzer and then you missed out on Hurley, you started running out of options because the pool was so light. So JJ Redick was your best available. And I think that JJ has a chance to be really good for them. And I think that they expect him to be really good for them. And I think that that's why you're hearing a lot of positive spin on it. You're hearing a lot of like, hey, he's like ESPN had a thing on SportsCenter this morning where they were talking about him being, a hybrid coach where he's got player relationships, but he's also a big analytics guy. So, it's not one or the other. And that, I think, is what may potentially allow JJ Redick to be successful. So, yeah, I mean, I think with what you had to work with, JJ Redick is a perfectly fine option. But make no mistake about it, there is risk. He has never coached an NBA game before. He's never had to manage a locker room. Obviously, he's been a part of locker rooms in his playing career. But I just think when you're sitting in the coach's office, it's a little different than when you're sitting in your stall in the locker room. So to me, that will be the biggest challenge. How does he manage the personalities? How, where do they go? Like, what's the plan in the draft? LeBron is going to opt out of his deal, and then they're going to renegotiate with him, I would guess. So what does that look out? Yeah, LeCap, LeGM, what does that look like? So I just think that there is a lot of questions up in the air as to like how this offseason is going to go moving on from here now that JJ's been given the job. And that's the part that I think will define how good of a season you have or don't have, because a lot of people think guys like Austin Reeves are going to thrive in JJ's system, that the secondary player is going to be absolutely bonkers for this LA Lakers team under JJ Redick. So we'll see. If that's the case, obviously they're going to have a good season.
Will it be the case?
I don't know. I'm not going to say yes because I need to see it pan out.
Playoff team?
Yeah, I think you can expect them to be a playoff team. I think JJ is good enough to get them to the playoffs.
Top 5 in the West?
No, can't say that.
Top 10 in the West?
Yeah, top 10 in the West. Certainly, I think they're like
top
a
6 in the West.
A 6 through 9 team. 6 through 9 team. I don't think that we can sit here and be like, yeah, you're going to be better than Denver, OKC. I'm not sure you'd be better than Minnesota, assuming Minnesota stays the same. Again, OKC.
That's interesting.
Caruso,
they're
Clippers,
better.
The Clippers, I don't know, I don't know what you're doing with Paul George. You're messing around with Paul George, and if he finds his way out of Clipperland and, heads to another Western Conference team, that's going to be tough, dude. That's going to shake up the West. And I don't know who he'd consider going to or if he'd want to stay in the West. Because you remember, Paul George only got to the Clippers after the OKC debacle that was. So, yeah, can the Lakers be top 6 in the West? Yeah, they can be. I think they have the talent, but I'm not sure that. I just need to see JJ Redick prove it before I'm going to be like, yeah, holy cow, this is great, and they're everything they need to be.
I think they're top 3 in the West. I think they are far from done. I think LeCap is a guy that knows his only place is the Lakers. If he leaves the Lakers, I think it would be a huge mistake.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest question is prioritizing Anthony Davis or LeBron James. Which one is it? And I would be prioritizing Anthony Davis. I know we've talked about this on this show a million gazillion times. And every time I do it, you're like, hey, Marty, let me tell you something right now.
Well, Monty, come on now.
Anthony Davis is always hurt. And I just keep telling you, Anthony Davis just played a 70-game season. I think Anthony Davis recognizes he is playing for his future.
But Monty, under the Trump presidency, Anthony Davis was always hurt. So isn't that what we expect now?
I was just ready to roll out the voice, and now you're dropping Donnie bombs.
Come on, dude. That's funny, bro. I know funny. That's funny, bro.
No.
Come on.
I want to go home. No, it's not funny. It's not funny. It is funny. No. I think LeCap has 2 really good years left. I think Anthony Davis is an elite defender who is capable of 20 and 15 every single night.
Yeah.
And I think the only question is, what do they do with that roster? Because there's no doubt we saw the last 6 weeks of the season, this can be an elite defensive team with the Lakers. The real question is, who's going to score the basketball? And who are they going to get to actually make a 3-point bucket? Because that's what this team needs. They need a knockdown 3-point shooter. They don't have Ray Allen. They don't have Cantavius. They don't have.
I know. There's some guy who, used to play in Golden State that, is available. Might just, I know it's the Lakers. They never do that, but
I continue to tell you. And I 1,001 people yesterday on Twitter, DeMar's going to the Lakers. I don't think so. Number one, he's not a knockdown 3-point shooter. Are they better with DeMar? Sure, he's an upgrade. But where are you going to get the cap space to sign him? And I agree with Jake. I think Klay Thompson is a better fit than DeMar DeRozan.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the biggest question is how much money is Klay willing to leave on the table if he wants to be a Laker? I think that's a huge question mark.
Yeah.
And who's willing to make a trade with the Lakers to free up cap space for them? Not many clubs are willing to do that.
Right.
Not many clubs are willing to do that. If you're going to do that, you're going to have to give up Austin Reeves. Are you trading Austin Reeves for Klay Thompson? I'm not. I'm certainly not. So,
yeah.
James, I kid you not. I was sent a pic by another listener to send to you on Instagram. Have a great vacation. You both deserve it. Did you send me a...
Okay. Yeah, did somebody DM you? Because they haven't DM me. Marty.
Via social media.
I have not seen anything, James.
No.
Are you sure
No.
that you... I don't know what you...
You know. So I was sent a pic by another listener to send to you on Instagram. So did 8-Ball Aranda send you a pic?
James, what is your name on Instagram? You used to Instagram me all the time.
Oh, you guys were textually engaged?
He sends me fucking Oak State is amazing, Monty. Hey, Monty. Guys. Let me tell you about the mullet. That's what he used to send, but I can't even see him. I tagged you both. Did he tag you?
No.
No.
Marty?
What is your Instagram name? I'll look it up.
Yeah, dude. Like I don't have anything on Instagram. I don't have.
I see Scott Palmer followed me on Instagram.
Yeah. But I don't. Dude. I don't know.
You might be tripping, boo.
Yeah, I
Oak State James, put your Instagram handle in the comment section. People will follow you. You know. Tanner Plummer, did someone say the Tanner voice?
What's that, dude?
I believe they did. I don't know what it is. The Tanner voice.
Yeah, I don't know what the Tanner voice is.
Everyone, don't forget to like and share. Yes, please. Monty McFly. Okay. OG Gary, Tanner voice is the voice you make when you say guys. Guys.
Gary.
Dude,
bro.
I know what the Tanner voice is.
Are you fucking kidding me right now, Gary? I expect better from you, bro. Well, he meant Roma Dunze, not Jim Rome. Yeah, guy, I know what the Tanner voice is. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
I know what the Tanner voice is. Tanner lost his shit in the... Never mind. Because then we're going to have to do a conversation about Donovan McNabb throwing up on the field during the Super Bowl.
And what the Super Soaker 8000 is. And it's just not really worth our time today,
And then
dude.
Jake's going to go home and I'm going to have to earthquake. And it's just not what I want to be about today.
Yeah.
I'm packing for... Well, Jake's packing for a trip to Kansas City,
I'm
which
always
is...
packing.
Ho-ho! Which is why we're not doing a show next week. I'm always packing.
Yeah.
Okay, real quick, because I feel like the show is about to get off the rails. James, I don't see your Instagram.
Yeah. Help us.
Paul Finebaum has this incredible...
Stay hard.
For Lincoln Riley.
A certain affinity.
You know, Paul Finebaum, the SEC homer that does a show on ESPN.
Right.
Paul Finebaum.
Right. Yeah.
Says that Lincoln Riley is on the way out, is done at SC.
Why we have Finebaum.
Do you believe that Lincoln Riley's done at SC, or is this just Paul Finebaum being Paul Finebaum?
This is Paul Finebaum rolling out a hater story because it's June and he's got nothing to talk about. That's what this is. And I agree that SC in the Big Ten, there's expectations. Like, there is. It's just as simple as that. And I really believe if you're Oregon, SC, you know, you got to make strides, and you got to make big strides. And I think for SC and Lincoln, yeah, like a 10-win season would be clutch. A nice, solid, dominant, solid defense, Heisman Trophy, contender at quarterback type season is what Lincoln Riley needs. And I know he fired Grinch, and, the defensive staff has been overhauled and everything's perfect. I'll believe it when I see it, bro. I will believe it when I see it. And I tend to agree that SC has put a bunch of money into practice facilities for the football team, has basically spared no expense. So as part of that, you went to the Big Ten and made more money. And now it's time to get in the college football playoff, Lincoln. Now it's time to live up to it. So I don't necessarily disagree that with the article that Paul put out talking about how, hey, like 7 wins isn't going to be good enough. And like Lincoln's got to show he's got the goods. I don't necessarily disagree with that. But I do disagree with the assertion that they're going to fire Lincoln Riley if he doesn't have double-digit wins. I have a hard time believing that. I think Lincoln Riley is a young head coach. Obviously a ton of experience, but he's just a younger guy. He's not like 70 years old like a lot of these other dudes. And I think that's the kind of coach USC wants. And I don't think USC wants to rock the boat in their football program right now. I think what they want is to continue to put out elite NFL talent into the draft, and they would just like to see SC compete for a national championship in the college football playoff. And if you go to the college football playoff every year, you're, especially in the expanded format, you're going to be fine. And that's just the reality of it. The guy doesn't even need to win natties. All you got to do is be relevant, be in the conversation in November, and if you do that, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, I don't see this Oak State James tag. Like I'm looking through, I get a lot of tags.
It would be there. It's not there. I'm telling you.
Oak State James, my guy, I want
my tag.
Yeah. Well, look at that. Caruso McCluskey. Well, hello there, gents.
Well.
I love it. Poor James is getting gaslit. Well, because the guy doesn't fucking know how to use Instagram.
Yeah, I mean, last time he got busy on Twitter, his direct phone number was out there. What's next? Your social security number?
Well, hello there, gents. Tanner says that's why we have Finebaum. Finebaum being Finebaum. Jake, don't forget your David wipes when you go to Kansas City.
Well, I don't know what David wipes are, bro.
You mean dude wipes?
Yeah.
Haterade extra good in June.
Yeah, dude. That's what I'm saying, dude. That's what this is.
OG Gary. So commits decommit from Bama and Georgia, and no one says anything. 2 commits back out of USC, and it's curtains. Come on, Finebaum, stop it. It's
why we have Finebaum.
I hate autocorrect. Dude wipes. Exactly. James, is the picture that Dakota sent you? Wait a minute. Dakota sent James nudes?
Dude, see, this is what I'm talking about. So we broke up, James, and you rebounded with Chubinski, the communist. Are you kidding me right now?
Okay. Tanner Plummer, they've got to get clicks during June dead zone.
Well,
listen, I don't know what this is, but Finebaum going all in on Lincoln Riley. Is Lincoln Riley on the hot seat at SC? He is. If they only win 5-6 games, I think there's a real chance he's in trouble.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, I mean, have you guys looked at the USC football schedule? Is Lincoln Riley a good coach?
Yes. Yes, he is.
Why do you hate him?
I don't hate him. I think that
I just truth tell.
Yeah.
I can't help what the truth is, bro.
Yeah. I mean, your record speaks for itself. Like he's not, dude, he's got to prove he can win a national championship. That's what he has to prove. Outside of that, he's done everything else you could want to do.
All right. Here's SC's schedule. And it's a beaut. LSU. Oh, look, OG Gary.
Is that home or on the road?
Allegiant Stadium, Las Vegas,
okay.
Nevada.
Yeah, that's a home game.
Utah State at the Coliseum. Bye week, September 14th. At Michigan, Wisconsin. At Minnesota, Penn State. At Maryland, Rutgers. At Washington, bye week. Nebraska, at UCLA. Notre Dame at home. And then the Big Ten championship game in the first week of December.
Yeah, it feels like a 9-win schedule.
9?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I again, don't smoke crack before that. I've told you not to smoke crack. Right? I asked you specifically. I said, if you're going to smoke crack, please do it after the show.
I'm being nice about your guy. I could have said it was a 4-win schedule, but I'm being nice at 9. And now you're
Marcus can't count past 10. So
dude, you're being Marty right now, dude.
Marty.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Let me tell you something, Marty. Crack kills. LSU.
I'm saying that's a dub at Allegiant, dude. That's a win.
Utah State.
Win.
Bye week. Loss. At Michigan.
Loss.
2-1. Wisconsin.
Win.
3-1. At Minnesota.
Win.
4-1. Pedo State. At the Coliseum.
Win.
So you're saying they're 6-1.
Yeah.
7-1 at Maryland. 8-1 at home for Rutgers. 8-2. 8-2.
Is that home or away for Washington?
That's it. Husky Stadium.
Yeah, that's a loss. Yeah.
So we're saying they're losing to Michigan and Washington.
Yeah. Yep.
That LSU, you're really confident in that LSU game.
And the reason I'm confident is because it's early season and the guys are bought in. They haven't lost a game they shouldn't have lost yet.
So they're 7-2. Nebraska at the Coliseum.
Win.
8-2. At UCLA. 9-2.
Yeah.
Notre Dame at the Coliseum.
It should be a win, but that game's bonkers every year.
9-3.
Okay. So 9 again, 9-win schedule. Like,
I think that's top of the mountain. Top of the mountain. USC LSU will be an instant classic. It's going to be a hell of a game. Ryan Smith's receding hairline. You didn't show up.
dude.
I wanted Zach LaVine, but my wife said we can't afford his contract. Okay.
Show up.
Ghost of Gumby. 9 wins for Troy. If they win 9 games, he gets an extension.
And they're in the college football playoff.
Dakota. This isn't the Dakoda you're looking for. Okay. Okay. The Dakota Lorian.
What are we doing, bro? Like,
Caruso McCluskey. I bet Caruso sent nudes to airport security.
That's what they do.
Just not weed. Big Blue Horses. As a Gator fan, I'd love this schedule. USC will score 45 and give up 47. How is Lincoln different from Ryan Day? I'm telling you, Ohio State has the best roster in the country.
How is Ryan Day different than Lincoln Riley?
How's Ryan Day different than Lloyd Carr?
Yeah, here's the difference.
It's a former Michigan.
Here's the difference. He's in the college football playoff pretty much every year. I mean, and if he's not, he's right there.
So if they somehow lose to Utah State, are they in trouble of losing to LSU? Well, no, because Utah State's week 2.
Did you?
Guys. Listen, if they lose to Utah State, can we retroactively go back and rip their dick off and take the LSU?
Wow, bro.
Can we retroactively go back and take the win from the LSU game?
Macaque.
I mean, stranger things have happened.
Yeah, I mean, just
I mean, the
Reggie
show
Bush
Stranger
treatment.
Things, that happened.
Yeah.
I mean, we took Reggie's trophy away, and then Marty put some heat on, and they gave it back. Stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
You know. Okay. Sorry I'm late. I was getting a blowy from Pat McAfee, but we didn't
Dude.
show.
Bro, did you see what happened to Pat's show the other day, though?
I think that was a gimmick, and it didn't work.
Well, what do you think they were trying to gimmick?
Oh, we got shut down, and I don't,
Okay.
it's fine. Mike Chase, have fun on your vacation in Hawaii. I'll be headed to Alaska for my vacation. Great timing. I won't miss a show. You guys are awesome. Thanks, man.
Nice.
Appreciate you, Mike. Have a good trip. A blowy? Yeah, a blow pop.
A blow pop.
A blow pop on Giving Friday here on the Advocates, or here on the Monty Show presented by the Advocates. All right, 30 minutes. So we've got about 20 minutes for you to make your donations. We're at less than $500 right now. I got to tell you, we're a little behind the curve. Here's how it works. The Advocates and the Road Home are partnered for the 20th year. That's amazing in itself. They're working together to provide underprivileged children with the basic necessities to succeed in school. Backpacks, school supplies, clothing, shoes, socks, underwear. The basic necessities. Not the extravagant. The basic necessities. A backpack. Think about how much for granted do your kids, or maybe you yourself, take your backpack for granted? How much do you take your backpack for granted?
Mm-hmm.
You don't even think about it. It just mine's here on the studio on my chair. I take it for granted every day when I grab it. It's a backpack, and those things are like gold to a fifth grader who doesn't have one, who doesn't have lunch money, who doesn't have a backpack, who wears, not great clothing to school that maybe he hasn't washed in a week. That's what we're working with the advocates in the road home on here. It's a big deal. It's a really important thing. We're asking you to get on Venmo, advocates donations, $5, $10, $100, whatever you can afford. We ask you this morning, if it's in your wallet and in your heart, I ask you this morning to please make a donation. Last year, we raised $4,900 for the advocates in the road home.
Mm-hmm.
We'd like to break that. We'd like to get to 5,000 in the next 6 weeks. And we're going to be, when Jake shows up.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing it on Fridays. Giving Friday for the next 6 weeks will be about the road home and the advocates, but we need to get off to a good start. That's the only way. Today, our goal was $500. So far, we have gotten, what do we have here? $35 on YouTube, and I appreciate that. Thank you. $35. Then we had Maury, who won a $20 Amazon gift card for giving $20. We had Dakota Tubbs for $11, right? That's $30 right there. And then $10 more. I can't remember who that was from.
Oh, it's Scott, I think.
Yes. Scott
What's
gave
his
us
name?
$10 more.
It's Scott Palmer.
Scott Palmer.
Yeah.
So we're at $100. Essentially, we're a little under $100.
Yeah.
Can we get to $500 in the next 20 minutes? 15 minutes now. It's 34. By the time we get to 50 past the hour, can we get to $500? That's our goal for today. Let's start rolling. Guys like Scott Palmer, I appreciate you. We will give away at least a $100 Amazon gift card. If we get to $500 in the next 15 minutes, we will give away another $100 Amazon gift card. So we'll give away $200 Amazon gift cards.
Yes.
All you have to do is Venmo the advocates donations. We need about $425 in the next 15 minutes. Who's in? Let's hit it right now. Advocates donations. Take a screenshot and DM it to Jake on Instagram or Twitter, SLC Jake. SLC Jake on Instagram or Twitter. You do that, you're entered to win a gift.
Do it.
One of the gift cards. That's it. Pretty simple, right?
Yes.
Pretty straightforward. Let's hook it up. It was a WWE gimmick for a new wrestling faction.
Okay.
Oh, you mean the Pat McAfee thing? I don't care. Pat's show is turned into a very difficult watch. And I don't know when it happened. We've been really watching a lot of Jim Rome on X. Twitter has turned into a great sports talk platform. I don't know if you realize that or not. But we flipped on Pat's show the other day, and it just turned into a weird thing.
Yeah.
It's a very weird thing. Pat needs to have more Gordon segments. Oh, Gordon.
Oh, Gordy.
I love it. I do love it. I don't know. I think it is. I don't have go-to sports talk. I recognize that I'm old. I'm 50 years old. 51 at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I have go-to sports talk. I mean, I guess it's Jim Rome, but then he'll put on Dickhead Sports Writer and I'm out.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have go-to sports talk?
I mean, Jim is really the only guy that I'll listen to on a semi-regular basis. I mean, what you have to understand is that, once the show's over, we have other stuff we're working on and work we do during the day. And so we always have something on, So like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it's usually, Jim or something.
Yeah.
And then like right now the Euros are on. So we've been watching that, we've been watching Jim. The Travelers Championship for golf is obviously on now Thursday through Sunday. So Thursday and Friday, we watch a lot of golf. So it really depends on what day it is, but I don't have like a must watch every day. I do think Jim deserves credit for how he's done this. I think it's smart. Like, you were a radio guy and you understood that, hey, CBS Sports Network is not really getting it done from a visual perspective anymore. So let's try streaming and because they were already using Twitter. So it was for Jim, it's worked so well because I think it was a natural sort of progression, and he's just hammered it every day. He talks about it, and he deserves a lot of credit for that. So I think with Jim, it's fine. I agree with you. He puts, D-heads, writer guy on that I just don't give a damn about. But I also think, you get Dave Roberts, you get like some good interviews as well. So for me, Jim's show is still viable. It's still a pretty reasonable listen. The thing that I'm struggling with Pat's show, because I did really like Pat's show at one point, but the thing I'm struggling with on Pat's show is it's not football season. So when it's not football season, Pat gets exposed, and Pat doesn't have real in-depth conversations about anything that anybody gives a damn about. And he just wants to be in the cool kids club. So I really struggle with, the whole situation with their show. I struggle with how they do the show. I struggle with, the wrestling piece. If it is indeed true, I didn't realize that. I didn't see that was some kind of gimmick for WWE. If that is true, that's the type of thing that I'm just not that interested in. What I want out of Pat is I want a show that's consistent every day that I can come to and get Pat's actual opinion. That's what I
like that. Here's where I've begun to struggle with Pat McAfee. I really like that he gets huge guests. Like he had Bryson DeChambeau on the other day. It was an awkward interview. It was a really awkward interview, and it just doesn't have to be that awkward. And I think when it's not football season and it's not Aaron Rodgers Tuesday or Nick Saban Thursday, or that's when I'll watch. But I can't do the everyday Pat McAfee show thing now. I can't do it. And his stuff on JJ Redick has been, frankly, it's not been good. His stuff on the NBA has not been good. And
why is that?
Because it's not what he does.
And he's not well read on it. He's not well researched on it. And
his guys don't seemingly care about the NBA.
Yeah. And that's the struggle is like, I think that, and it's not an excuse for Pat. I'm a firm believer in this. If you're doing a show, like there's an expectation. Like if we rolled up and, today and didn't talk any Jazz, you guys would probably be a little pissed off about that, right? Like if we rolled up and had no idea about anything to do with that, like you guys would be surprised. And to me, I often experience that feeling with Pat's show where I'm like, hey, dude, like you use the B word with Caitlin Clark. Like
that was a massive,
like that's just a
thing.
Shocking. And it could have been anybody, but it wasn't. The problem is I wasn't surprised it was Pat. The idea that you thought it was okay to use that word, the idea that you thought that doing what you did yesterday with, this gimmick or whatever was cool, or like there's just been a slew of things. And look, I'm sure that Pat's a reasonable dude, but I just I just don't enjoy it. And it just is what it is, dude. I don't love it. And it goes to this whole conversation about, this whole Stephen A. Smith conversation. I texted you the other night while we were watching the finals. Like, dude, I'm burned out on Stephen A. Smith talk during the NBA finals, man. Like
it's rough.
It's
and
crazy.
Stephen A. Smith wants $25 million
after he's got an $18 million a year offer on the table. And you're asking for 25. We'll see you on Fox Sports. Well, and actually, I won't see you on Fox Sports because I don't watch Fox Sports.
Stephen A. is not leaving ESPN. He knows better. He knows where his bread is buttered. He wants $25 million. That's outrageous. And I think he views himself as like their NBA guy. He's not. And this new contract with the NBA that ESPN and Disney are about to sign, and I'm not paying. Are you paying Stephen A. Smith? In the comment section, do you like Stephen A. Smith? Are you paying him $25 million a year?
I would not pay him more than 20 because I think that's what he actually wants. I think that he did 25 because the next natural negotiating step would be 20.
Let's see. The Advocates, $25. Who's this? Jay?
Maury again.
Maury Alvarez giving us $25 more. Monty Show Kids. Pat is good on WWE, but I really don't like listening to his show for $25. Okay. Like,
That's a fair take.
That is a fair take.
I like seeing this is the other side of it too. I don't watch wrestling, so I don't get Pat on WWE. I don't watch that. Like that's not for me. So that's what I'm telling you. And then by the way, while we're talking about Pat, this whole College Game Day situation, I also think is fascinating for ESPN. Pat talking about how
he's not under contract for Game Day.
Yeah, he hasn't signed the deal, and he doesn't feel like he's a fit, and like I don't know, man. I don't know. Again, just like I said with the Jazz, I don't know what Pat wants. I don't understand what you want. Like, you obviously wanted to be on ESPN, but I think what Pat wants is the bag and to not have to work hard. That's what it seems like. You want to show up, you want to roll up to the show every day and not be well read and not well researched and not well prepared. And it's what I give Jim Rome a lot of credit for. You don't often catch Jim looking like an idiot on his own show.
He doesn't, having, and I think many of you probably know this. I used to work for Jim Rome at Fox. Jim is never unprepared. Jim Rome, the one thing is he's going to show up and he's ready to go. If he's got an interview, my job was to book his guests at Fox Sports. That was my entire job, produce some segments, all this. When I would say, again, the best example I have is, hey, here's Bo Jackson. And he was ready and he did a great interview. I booked him Snoop Dogg. I booked him Tom Morello, Metallica, like all these different guys that used to come on his show. Out of left field, he was ready to go. Any athlete, ready to go. Like, I mean, it truly is the difference between guys like Jim Rome, like guys like Colin Cowherd disappeared when he left ESPN.
But then you see him pop up on the radar once in a blue moon when Tom Brady sits on his set. So you're not really there for Colin, you're there for Tom. So my point was, I respect Jim from that standpoint because I know what I'm getting. This has always been my take on Jim Rome. He doesn't have the best show, right? Like, there are things about his show I don't like. But what I love about the show is I know what I'm getting. And I know that first segment of the day is going to be a sports take, and I'm probably going to laugh, and I'm probably going to be interested. Yep. And then the rest of the show is dependent on the day. So that's what I'm telling you. I don't really have reliable sports talk. And I'm telling you, as someone who does a show, part of why we do the show is because we know that there's not like a plethora of listenable shows. That's why we cut back the advertising. That's why we made the show a little more flexible and a little more fun, because we know, dude, there's not amazing shows just falling off a tree. Not even to say our show's the best show, but we know for damn sure that it's listenable and you can have fun. And that's what we try to do.
Yep. OG Gary, he's becoming hot take guy. He is. Mapes, he's their biggest entertainer, but not 25 million. You know what? It's
a lot of bread, dude. Like,
Charles Barkley retired the other day. Is that some great loss to NBA television? I don't think it is. You want to talk about hot take guy? Charles Barkley's hot take guy. Yeah, I don't know. Oak State James, who still has not sent us a screenshot and still has not told us what his Instagram name is. Stephen A. Smith is asking for 25 million. We'll get 20. You're probably right. Stephen A. is an entertainer. I don't know if he's being true to himself. Ooh, that's an interesting point. Maury Alvarez, Pat wants his cake and eats it too. He wants the easiest route with no extra effort. I don't know if that's the case. That's just what it appears to be. So perception is reality.
Yeah.
Perception's reality, right?
And that truth is applicable to almost any situation in the media.
Correct.
Whether we're talking about Ryan Smith, whether we're talking about Pat, whether we're talking about Stephen A. Like, I think that's the trouble, is that like the Scotty Scheffler felony story, there was a clear perception that, hey, this guy wanted to stick it to Scotty. And that's what ultimately got that case blown up. And I think that the problem is that these dudes get on ESPN and make the bag, and then they change. And and we've had many conversations about it. If we were to ever get that kind of opportunity, I don't know that I would change a whole lot. I like, obviously you can't curse on ESPN, even though Pat and his guys do on a regular basis, but you can't curse on ESPN. But again, ESPN didn't bring you in to change your show, and that's what I feel like he's done.
I think his show has changed dramatically.
Like a lot. Like they brought you in because you had a good show, and then you went and changed it. And I just don't understand that.
I would agree. Did you book Chris Evert? No, that was 2 years before I got there, I think, or multiple years before I got to the gym show. There are sports shows, then there are showgrams. That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly right. 3 minutes left here on a Giving Friday to make your donation until we announce that Maury Alvarez has won the $100 Amazon gift card. I think there's no doubt Maury's got one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be $125 or $120.
120 for Maury.
Yeah.
Looks very likely. Hook it up on Venmo. Send the advocates donations, or you can Venmo in the tip, or you can donate in the tip jar. We would much rather you send it directly to the advocates on Venmo. Advocates donations working with the road home to provide school supplies for the less fortunate. And yes, we're going to be doing this for several weeks, but we need to get off to a good start. We have said that we want to do, our goal every Friday is about $500. Some Fridays we do a lot more than that. Some Fridays we do a lot less than that. Let's get to $500. We need about $300 right now. So hit them on Venmo, advocates donations. I think Maury's definitely got one of the $100 Amazon gift cards.
Unless someone comes through with some big ass donation.
Now, I want to give it to James because he needs new books, but my guy.
Yeah, I mean, I just still haven't seen anything come through, so I can't. We're not just gonna free willy-nilly give out.
Nope. Send your a screenshot of your Venmo donation to Jake on Instagram, SLC Jake. He'll post it on the show. Hit the like button, Jeremiah Champion. Good morning to you, sir. Yes, please hit the like button. We have over 1,000 views this morning, and we only have 44 likes. Come on, man. Come on now. Yeah. Hit the like button. Let's see. Maury Alvarez. My issue with Stephen A is I'm not down with sports talk fighting, and that's what Stephen A is to a T. That's the Skip Bayless thing, and I just don't think that works at all. At all. It's just not. I am much more into conversations, fun, like having, good times.
What do you need to have good conversation?
Knowledge.
You need knowledge.
Preparation. I agree with that. Not preparation H, just preparation.
And, the other part of doing a show is you can see when someone has no idea where they're trying to go. You can see.
I would agree with that.
You can, and maybe that's just a me problem, right? But it ruins it for me. This is Dubinsky.
Marty Show for the kids. Take my rubles that I am diverting from the war effort. So now you've sent us $34 or $45. Okay. I appreciate that. Dakota. Thank you. Well done. Very well done.
So when I see Pat wandering, when I see him having to,
and he does wander,
he does this thing where he'll be talking to somebody, whether it's his dude or he's interviewing, where they've two boxed it. It's him and it's the personality, whoever they're talking to. He does this thing where like he moves his hands around and like tries to like distract you, kind of. Like
you can tell he gets insecure.
Yeah, he's unsure of where he's going next. And again, I think the biggest thing is you have to, like, interviews typically are less than 5 questions. Like usually you're 3-4 questions. And by the time you're done with that, it's time to move on. And that's, again, as much as I love the YouTube platform, that's the challenge with YouTube, because you could interview Nick Saban for hours. Like on Jim's show, he's got 12 minutes to interview someone. That's 3-4 questions, little reaction. You're on to the next segment. So I'm just telling you, man.
Totally.
I'm just telling you, Pat is not taking his profession as seriously as he should, and the show is paying a price. And I'm sure he's still got plenty of listenership. I'm not saying he's hurting, because I know he's not.
No, I would agree with that. Ghost of Gumby says Savage Tubinsky. Yeah, I think that might be our second winner right there.
Yeah, that was funny.
Take my rubles that I'm diverting from the war effort. Marty Show for the kids. Okay. The Marty Show.
All right, Tubinsky.
I like it, Tubinsky. I do. I'm sure Vlad is going to ground me for this. There's a good chance.
Right.
Brandon Butler, good morning. It's all become formulaic. You take the positive, I'll take the negative. It's not a discussion. It's a staged debate. First Take. I can't stand that show.
You know what's funny about
Which
First
is why
Take?
I don't watch First Take or any of the other garbo.
The funny thing about First Take is it's dominant in its time slot. Like,
well, because against what in sports?
I agree. I am 1000% with you. There's not anything it's going up against. But I'm a firm believer. Even though they have nothing to go up against, I'm not watching First Take because I don't enjoy it. It's not that it's like, oh, that's the only thing on. If I don't enjoy your show, I'm not going to watch it. Yet somehow, and I don't remember the last numbers they posted. I'd have to go dig it up. But they were like dominant, like they were doing hundreds of thousands of views in their time slot. So they are getting viewership. And that's why I'm saying, like, Stephen A, I still do think has some pull with sports fans. I'm not a Stephen A guy
At all.
But you can't tell me that he doesn't have pull in certain sections of our country. And I think for ESPN, I would agree with James' take. I do think 20 is going to be the number, which is why he went to 25.
Yep, totally agree. All right. So we have 7 minutes left in the show. You guys know we're off next week because Jake is going to
I'm going
Kansas
to
City.
Roller, Fecalville.
It is our vacation week. I will be in Hawaii.
Wait.
It's going to be amazing. Unfortunately, Greg Hawkins, our listener, our friend, our buddy, was traveling to a funeral in Des Moines, Iowa, I believe, flying from Salt Lake through Denver to Des Moines. Sat on the tarmac yesterday for 3 hours in Salt Lake City because of a weather stop in Denver.
3 hours.
And they would not let him get off the plane. They then took off, went to Denver. He missed his connecting flight to Des Moines. And at this point was not able to rebook to get to Des Moines in time to go to his funeral.
Mm-hmm.
Does he deserve compensation?
100%.
And I think we are debating this in our members only Instagram chat. There is a Flyers Bill of Rights. And I think the airlines take us for granted. And the funny part about this is, and we've talked about this with the economy, we have talked about this for so long. Are we in a recession? And everybody is damn sure we're in a recession. The TSA disagrees with you.
Yeah.
The 10 busiest travel days of the year. What do you notice about this graphic? Well, the busiest travel day of the year ever, and this is in the history of the TSA.
So, like, this would include Christmas. This would include, like,
every day before May 24th of this past year. May 24th. Busiest travel day ever for screen passengers by TSA. June 14th. So 1 week ago. Second busiest travel day ever. June 9th, now the third busiest travel day ever.
So what do you mean people aren't spending money?
6 of the top 10 busiest travel days ever for the TSA came in the last 6 weeks. And I look at the economic indicators. I think people are spending money. There's no question. Now, is consumer debt massive right now? It is. Do we have a real estate issue? We do. But I do not believe in any way, shape, or form that we are in a recession. I do not. And I think you look at some of the economic indicators and you look at inflation, for instance. Inflation is 3%. Is that the 0% that we had pre-pandemic? It's not. It's not. But does that mean that we are paying significantly more? We're not, and I think this is the argument. We're not paying more for certain things. And eggs are a perfect example of this. We're not paying more for eggs because of inflation. We're paying more for eggs because of greed. We're paying more for gas because of greed. It's pretty hard. It's pretty hard to argue that there is anything other than greed going on in the economy right now.
Yep.
And I know that people want to say that inflation's a huge deal, and I'm telling you right now, could we fall into a recession? Certainly we could. Are we in one now? We're not. Are there people struggling for jobs? Yeah, it's tough. If you're unemployed, finding a job is an effort because you have so many people looking for new jobs, employed and unemployed. Our unemployment numbers are very low, but you have a lot of people in the job market. So it means that you have to make a significant effort. I think you look at things like prices, and I think that's the biggest deal. There's no doubt about the fact. Like, what are you paying more money for, do you think, right now? I think food costs for certain.
Yeah, I mean, the easy ones are like food and gas, but like for me, I don't have like a huge commute or something. So gas isn't really punishing me the way it's punishing folks who have the commute to deal with. But I mean, I would say, yeah, I would say food. I think that, I can personally attest to the fact that rent has gone up a couple $100 over the last 2 years or so. Now that's not a
perfect
ton.
example. Why is rent higher right now? Why are you paying more for rent? Well, because millennials aren't buying houses.
Mm-hmm.
Because mortgage rates are not the 0% they were during the pandemic. So you have people not buying houses. You have people not selling houses because there is a real trend where it's more expensive to buy a new home than the home that you're selling.
Well, and I also think on that particular part of it, people don't have the expendable income or enough income right now when you combine it with credit card debt and life costs to save for the down payment. So I don't think, I do agree, the interest rate thing is real, but I also think the interest rate thing wouldn't be as big a deal if these other factors over here, like credit card debt, like food costs, like gas costs, like just these other things we're paying for, were more in alignment with what they usually are. And that's the struggle. That's what I believe is our issue. It's not just the mortgage rates or that housing is too expensive, because it is too expensive. It's overpriced, no question about it. But I'm also a believer you can negotiate anything in real estate. And if you want to buy a house right now, you have to work your ass off to get a good deal, but you could probably find a deal somewhere. So it's not just that that's overpriced and that interest rates are a bit higher than people would like. It's that we don't have that money to go and compensate for that. And so then to what you're saying, okay, if we're not going to buy houses, we're obviously going to rent. So the real problem is that the single 30-year-old male or female who makes 80 a year is really going to have to grind to do life right now. You can't, the issue is that single people are not going to thrive right now because it's just too expensive. And so you wind up being in a situation where you're like, yeah, dude, I have to wait this out. And I just have to be on the spin cycle until something changes, which is a really tough thing to accept mentally, I feel like, for people.
Yeah, I think that the most frustrating part is we are not in a position to have any impact on any of this. It has nothing to do with us. It has nothing to do with us. We simply pay the price. And I think there's a lot of people that frustrates them. And I think that's very true. I think that is very true. Is Greg contacting the advocates? He should, no doubt about it. I think in certain areas we are in a recession, but in others like flying, I don't believe so. I think when you look at, do you guys know what the definition of a recession is? Where 2 straight quarters you decline. We're nowhere near that. Our economy isn't shrinking, it's expanding, which is giving pause to, interest rate changes. And we'll see. Tanner also says, I don't think this comes down to where you get your information when it comes to recessions. I do think Metrics like the Dow, I think, are trustworthy, but opinion machines like Fox News and CNN are not trustworthy.
Agreed completely.
You have to look at things like inflation, consumer price index. Like, we're not in a recession. Whether you want to agree with that or not, wages are higher. I think you look at the job market again, I think is robust. The problem is that you are starting to see things like real estate and the auto industry. Look at the damage that the EV boom has done to the auto industry.
Yeah.
Like, if you are buying an EV, it better be a Tesla, because you are not going to have profitability out of that.
But I think the other thing that I always like to tell people too is, you can get lost in a lot of these metrics and like trying to understand what's happening. But the reality is, and again, this wouldn't apply to like married folks or anything, but if you're someone that is single, or maybe, in a relationship but not married, moving in together is going to allow you to free up some money. And I think that's the other thing that people don't think about is, hey, if you're married right now and your household is making, 200,000 to 400,000, you're obviously going to be in a much stronger position than if you're making, let's say, 80 to 120 as just a single person. That's the issue, is that you can't have credit card debt, only making $100,000 and have to fund your life. That's the hard part. That's where we're getting stuck. And that's why I tell people, hey, like, you really got to think about, even if you're not in a place where you can move in with somebody where you're in a relationship, maybe it is smart to take you and your 3 buddies and rent a place and chop your costs down, because that's how you're going to get in a strong spot.
Yeah, and I think when you look at wages and the fact that, for better or for worse, the buying power of the average American has gone up in the last 14, 16 months. People's ability to make more money and buy more things has gone up. There's a lot of people who do that irresponsibly, but it is inarguable. You cannot argue the point that people are making more money and there are more jobs available. And if you are somebody that is not in the C-suite or the management suite, you're making more money. You have availability because you have more jobs. So the job market is more competitive.
Yeah.
And it is, I think you just need to understand the difference between profit taking and prices and inflation and recession. I do think it was interesting that national polling by Fox showed that Joe Biden is winning the election by 3% if it were today.
Yeah, and I think the conversation, and again, I'm not making this Republican or Democrat. I'm just saying the conversation around how these economics would change if, let's say, Donnie won, as an example, is a very fascinating one. And I think it's why you're starting to hear, Donnie come out with there's rumblings that he may roll out a thing where he takes away income tax as kind of a gimmick, but then we wind up paying for that in his system. And I think that's the hard part with our presidential situation. I'm seeing a lot of, in Fox, CNN, both sides are talking about it. Hey, both of these candidates are the same when it comes to age, when it comes to a lot of different things. But this Fox News poll that's definitely gone viral is kind of shocking, because I don't think people believed that the felony situation, no matter what you think about that trial, I don't think that people felt like the felony thing would hurt him. And I don't know. It's surprising to me that in a Fox News poll, Biden is winning that poll.
By 3 points.
Like, that's not like, and some people say, oh, well, it's only 3 points. Well, on a Fox News poll to be up by 3 points, that tells me that you're at a minimum tied with him, no matter who you ask, like at a minimum.
Yeah. I think it is wild to me that things like eggs and egg prices have come down. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But we're never going back to pre-pandemic pricing. We're never going back. Coffee is so stupidly expensive right now. Bread is so stupidly expensive right now. And I think that you look at You look at the fact that manufacturers believe that Americans are now used to paying that price. And I think that's why prices stay high. But it'll be interesting. Monty owes a ribeye. Where is Teddy Wayman?
I don't know.
Teddy. We are paying more for ribeyes now than when you made the bet. I believe we are.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Butler. No, we are not in a recession. The economy is the best it's been in years. Prices wouldn't be going up if people were not spending. And I think people have more money to spend.
Fair point.
Yeah. K. Nurin, move your fingers and hit the like button. Absolutely. Matt Ritson, save on electric, go solar 10 years ago. Get hot in Sacramento. It is going to be hot everywhere for the next 10 days. My God. Inflation has not been rising for decades. No, it has not. Or inflation has been rising for decades. I disagree with that. Housing and car costs are through the roof. The sector taking a huge hit is restaurants closing everywhere. I think when you look at inflation, it is the pandemic changed the way we do business in this country. And if you look at the 0% loans that we were doing pre-pandemic, if you look at the car industry, saw a massive boom during the pandemic. And now what's happened? We sold cars to people that shouldn't have been buying cars. And there were so many cars on the road with so much bad credit that the value of automobiles has plummeted. Specifically EVs. EVs are a disaster for a lot of manufacturers right now. So I think restaurants never recovered from the pandemic. It's not current day that restaurants are a problem. Their losses were there was no way to offset that loss. You don't make that money back. So as much as we did takeout, restaurants at their core are real estate companies. They're not food companies. They're real estate companies. So when they were paying their rents and they were paying their land deals, there's no way to make that money back. That's why so many have gone out of business. And you look at the gimmicks and whether it's all you can eat shrimp or whatever. Oh, I'm sorry. Did we wake you up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My bad. I don't know that there's a way to recover from that.
Yeah.
Another reason we have held to the no inflation, wages have ticked up a bit and corporate America wants those dollars. Those extra dollars folks are earning. There's no doubt. I think that greed is
all-time high. All-time high.
Ridiculous at this point.
Yeah, all-time high.
3 consecutive quarters of negative economic growth. Correct. Consecutive quarters of negativity.
We're not even heading in the direction of a recession.
No, and I think when the real flame gets lit at 2 quarters in a row where you have contracted or shrunk.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not seeing that. And I just think, yes, Kay, go vote, please. Go vote. Don't worry, Kay, my fecal fingers hit the like button, Dakota says. Restaurants are closing because the margins from them are razor thin to start. Wages going up killed them. It's hard to find labor to meet the demand. And again, young people are not working in restaurants. They're on the internet.
The path has changed.
Absolutely. Just Googled, is the United States in a recession? The top result says we're not in a recession, but it is the internet. So take that for what it's worth. We're not in a recession. 2% inflation number is never coming back. I think 2% will come back. I don't think we'll ever see zero inflation again. I have a hard time seeing that. There are certain cats that are out of the bag that won't go back. The new norm, in my opinion, is going to be 3. We'll see. I think you look at, we talk about elections. You look at what, for instance, Trump tariffs did. You look at what spending in the Biden administration has done. Have we ever seen infrastructure spending like this in the past? We have not. We have not. And I think it's been a boom for employment. But at some point, somebody's got to pay that debt back. I think the tariffs that we put on China, there's always an unintended consequence.
Yep.
And you look at like the Trump era oil policies. always a price to pay for that. You start making people and asking people, and you start dicking with Saudi production, and I'm telling you, there's always a price to be paid for that.
Yeah.
Just like taxes, they don't come back down or go away. They don't. It's the only poll showing that. So it's weird that the home teams are both saying their guy is losing. Maybe it's a way to get voters out. Who knows?
Yeah. It's weird.
The Ghost of Gumby says, I vote for more Tanner voice. Guys.
Marty.
Tanner never said I wanted it gone. Tanner banned me from ever.
Yeah, I don't know what the Tanner voice is. I mean, I
don't know what the Tanner voice is.
I've never heard of that. So
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I could not tell you. Who are we giving the Amazon gift cards to?
So Maury's got $120 coming his way.
Do we just do one since we didn't meet our goal?
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I mean, didn't meet our goal. We came up way short.
Okay, so maybe we'll give the other $100 to the advocates then.
Yeah.
There you go. Maury Alvarez.
Stay hard.
Congratulations. You have a $120 Amazon gift card coming your way. Don't forget, we'll be off next week as we are on vacation. Doesn't mean you can't hit the advocates on Venmo. Advocates donations. The Monty Show is always presented by the Advocates, theadvocates.com. The best injury attorneys in the business. Have a great week. Please be safe on your bicycles, your motorcycles. If you get hurt at work, you get hit by a semi-truck, you cannot plan for the worst, but you can react to it. When you get in an accident, you get hurt, you got to go to theadvocates.com. Chat with an injury attorney 24/7, 365. It won't cost you time. Theadvocates.com. Until a week from Monday.
Yes.
Say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.